In this session, we are going to discuss a new chapter, which is from the second book of your second PUC. So the first chapter is that we have to discuss in this classes ray optics and optical instruments. So previous to this session, we had a discussion over electromagnetic waves, and after that, we are moving into this chapter, which is ray optics and optical instruments. That is why there is a relation between the previous chapter and this chapter. So in the previous classes, we learnt about electromagnetic waves, and also we saw electromagnetic spectrum. So maybe there is a relation between that electromagnetic spectrum and this ray optics, because electromagnetic spectrum consists of different rays, and which are having the different frequencies and wavelength. Then let's see what is a relation between that electromagnetic waves and this chapter. So if we look at the heading, let's try to understand the meaning of this whole chapter by its heading. So heading is ray optics and optical instruments. We can split these words as ray, optics, optical, which are one and the same, or which are related to each other, and instruments. We know the meaning of instruments, but we don't know the meaning of optics and optical. But we have heard of this word ray. So we heard one more word which is beam. Beam and ray, we many times we use this while we talk about the light. Yes. So these words like rays and beam, which are related to the light. So light means, we already know from the previous chapter, is an electromagnetic wave. So if you look at the electromagnetic spectrum, we can see different kinds of rays. We can see X-ray, gamma ray, infrared ray, ultraviolet ray, radio waves, television waves. Similarly, we can also see visible rays. So in an electromagnetic spectrum, human can see only a particular value of wavelength of that rays. That is visible light. So our eye has such a mechanism to identify or detect a particular wavelength of the electromagnetic spectrum, which we can see a very small portion of the electromagnetic spectrum, which is called as a visible light. So this visible light only can be accessed by our eyes. We cannot detect the UV rays, IR rays by our bare eyes. So that is why these beam and ray are related to this visible light. So what we are getting light from the sun is an electromagnetic rays, and that light is very, very important for the living beings on the earth, which includes living beings as well as non-living beings. That's why the study of light is very, very, very important. Then I told you ray and beam, which are the words we use in related to light. Okay, and sometimes what happens is we will use both the words for a situation, but it should not be like that, because there is a difference between the usage of words ray and beam. So let us later see the difference between ray and beam. So now we know that in this session, in this class, or in this chapter, we will be discussing about the light. Okay, let's move forward. Let's step forward. So next word, what we can see here is optics. So optics means, which is in a simple words, if I wanted to say, it is a study of light. What studies we can do on the light? We can study the properties of light. We can also study the nature of light. We can also see some phenomena exhibited by the light. So that is why, as a whole, it is known as optics. So optics means it is a branch of physics where we deal with the born and propagation of light in a space and its consequences or the phenomena exhibited by the light. So this is known as optics. So in a simple words, if we can define like it is the study of nature and properties and propagation of light in a space, which is about the light, and this is known as optics. Then whether this optics has any branches, whether any classifications, it has. Yes, there is two classifications. One is called as physical optics, another one is called as geometrical optics. There are two kinds in optics. So optics means it is a branch of physics which deals nature, properties and propagation of light in space. Propagation of light in space. So it is called as optics. So this optics been classified into two. One is two classifications. You can see two classifications. One is geometrical optics. Second one is called physical optics. So these are the two classifications of optics: geometrical optics and physical optics. And geometrical optics means it is also a branch of physics where we are going to deal with the phenomena like refraction, reflection, dispersion, scattering with some instruments by using the mathematics. So such a branch or such a study can be called as a geometrical optics. See, this light exhibits different natures. This exhibits different phenomena. It will behave in a particular way. So such a study can be called as a geometrical optics. So this geometrical optics is also called as ray optics. That is our chapter. So here we will be discussing about the phenomena like reflection, refraction, scattering, dispersion, everything we will discuss. And also we will study about nature and propagation of light with some mathematics. So this is known as a geometrical optics or ray optics. Second one is called as a physical optics. Physical optics is also called as a wave optics. You have that chapter which is next to this, so that we will discuss completely about in the second chapter. So physical optics is also called as a wave optics. So the meaning is, in that optics we will be discussing about another nature of light. So you will study about nature of light in later classes. This light exhibits the two nature. One is called as a particle nature, another one is called as a wave nature. So the study about this which comes under this physical optics. So the topic to be concentrated here is a geometrical optics, which is nothing but ray optics. Yeah. I hope we know that now we got the meaning of geometrical optics or ray optics. Then in the beginning I told you, while the usage of words like rays and beam, we can see a difference. And before explaining the difference between the ray and beam, we should know some properties of electromagnetic wave. From the chapter of electromagnetic waves, we learned that light do not require any medium for the propagation. Our sunlight is coming to the earth, so that light do not require any medium for the propagation. If I speak in front of you, to hear the sound, we need the air. Without the air, sound waves or sound signals cannot be transmitted from one place to another. But it is not like that in the case of light. This light do not require any such medium. Even if there is no medium, it can travel to any long distances. So this is one point we should. And another thing, the light travels always in a straight line. They do not travels like in a curved path, curvy nature. They always travels in a straight line. So we should keep this points in our mind so that we can easily understand the difference between the ray and beam. Let's get on page. Ray and beam. I told you that light can travel in the space. So let's say that there is a light source. There is a light source here which is emitting light. So the light has to travel in a straight line as per the nature of it. It's as per the nature of it. So let us take 2 points in the path of this light. Let's say 2 points A and B. Now the light is traveling along this direction. It is traveling from A to B. So see here, this is the path traveled by this light in a space. It's a light. It is a path, okay, or the trajectory of the light traveled. So the path traveled by the light can be called as ray. Ray means it is nothing but path traveled by that light in a space can be called as ray. And then what is a beam? Beam means bunch of such rays are called as a beam. If there are number of rays which are passing from point A to B, then such a bunch called as a beam. So this is the difference between ray and beam. Ray means it is the path traveled by light in space. You can write in free space. Yeah. Free space. What is a beam? Beam means a bunch of rays propagating in space. Propagating in space is called beam. So this is the difference between ray